Hey all, welcome back to this video tutorial on application development using AngularJS and REST API. In the last video, we had authenticated a user using the HTTP client service and the user service. Let's go ahead and implement the registration part in this video. So what I'll do is I'll go to the register component and there I go. So I'll just go ahead and add the hash my form is equal to ng form, right? And then I'll say handle the ng submit event is equal to register is a function that will create, and to that function we will pass my form dot value. And in order to make sure that this form will have the properties, I will add name is equal to email and ng model attribute. I'll just copy it at all these places. So name is equal to password. Then I will put here as name, here as phone, here as city, and here as DOB. Okay, so it has to be, now this object has to have the same names as that of this Pojo that we have. If the properties do not match, like email, password, name, city, contact, instead of phone we need to put a contact and DOB. If it doesn't match, then the data, that column value will not be inserted, otherwise it will be null. So here I'm going to put contact. All right, so now these values I'll accept into my component. So let's create a register function to which we will accept a user object, and we'll call the sign up method, but for that we will need a service object. So here I'm going to inject my service is user service, correct? And then I'll call this dot service dot sign up that accepts a user object dot then dot catch, correct? And here I'll accept a response console dot log is the response, and in case there is an error I will say console.log error. Okay, so let's check this functionality. So I'll go to register. I will say Sachin. Password is some password. Phone is some phone. City is Delhi. Date of birth is my string. So some date I will pick. Okay, and I'll click on submit. The moment I submit, you see that there is a message and that says that user created successfully, right? Now let's go ahead and see that database. So refresh, and the Sachin data has been inserted in the database successfully. Now we'll see why this is showing HTTP error response. Okay, we'll get to see that what is the problem later on, but now the data is getting added to the database. Now I will log in with Sachin and this password. So Sachin and my password, and there is the data that we inserted. So now my Angular application is talking to REST API, and the REST API is talking to database. So all of that is done. Now we'll move on to the next one, which is now what will happen if I enter the correct details. It is not showing me anything, right? It is just printing that in the console. So let's go to the next part and then implement that part. But before that, let's just make some changes to this application, because what is happening right now is I am hard coding my URLs here, right? So what I will do is I will create a separate file for putting all my URLs. So here I go. I'll create a folder first of all, endpoints, and in the endpoints I'll create a file called as rest.endpoints.ts, and there I'll create a const root is equal to, this is my root, http // localhost 8080, right? And that's my root. And then I'm going to create a object endpoint, okay, and here I'm going to say is equal to an object. That object will have a login URL, that is now I'm using the dollar syntax here, and for using the dollar syntax you must use this tilde operator. This is called tilde, and then here I'll say root and slash authenticate, comma, register, colon, again tilde, dollar root. That's a new addition to ES6 JavaScript 6. So I'll say register. Now why I'm doing this, because I don't want to make changes if my URL changes, and this object I'm going to export. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to maintain all my URLs into this file, and from whenever I'm calling it, like I'm calling it from my service, so I will just go ahead and import that endpoint. Import from dot slash endpoints slash rest dot endpoints. So I have maintained all my endpoints there, and here instead of hard coding these URLs I will say endpoints dot login, and here I will say endpoints dot register. So now in future if my URL changes, then I do not need to make changes into each and every service. I will just make my change into that endpoints file. Now let's check whether my application runs successfully or not. So I'll go to a@b.com and password is this password, and there you go, it is giving me the correct information. Okay, now what if I do not enter the correct details? I'm getting the response, right? Saying invalid username and password, but that should be shown onto this screen. So for that, I will say I'll go to my login component, and yeah, there I'm going to declare a property message colon string is equal to empty, and in case there is an error I will also log it to the console, but I will also say this dot message is equal to, if you say error dot, sorry, I will say invalid username or some error occurred. Now this might be due to network failure, okay, and here I will check if the response, if response dot email, so if it has a response dot email, then I will say console dot log console dot log sorry, not console dot log, I will say message, this dot message is equal to login successful. In fact, we don't need this login successful, but for time being I'm putting this message, and this dot message is equal to invalid email or password. Now I'll just print the response. If it has response, Yeah, so now let's check. So this is the correct email and password. I'm going to enter, submit, and there is a response. And if I give the incorrect one, so that message has not been shown because that message property we are not printing onto the component. So here I will print that on top of this. I'll say label, and here in the interpolation I will put a message. Yeah, so now here I'll say some error occurred, so it is invalid username or password. So now I'll go to a@b.com, and then if I say 12345 is the password and login successful. So we don't need to do much thing in it. So I'll just remove this part. And this I'll change it to invalid email or password. So if I put something invalid email or password, and if I give the correct one, a@b.com, the correct details, submit, it will show login successful. But we don't want to show login successful or invalid. So when it is login successful, I will just display the next component. But for that, we'll go to the next one. Before implementing that part, we'll also make changes to the register component. There also I'm going to put a label, and there I'll say class is equal to alert and alert dash info, and I'll just put this message, and the same class I will also apply it to the login. Okay, so that it will be shown into a proper alert box. And the register component also I'll put a message property empty, and here I'll say this dot message equal to registration successful. Okay, or else could not register, could not create account. So let's check. As of now it is going to accept any kind of value because there is no validation. Could not create account. Now let's check, is there any problem on the server side? No. Then what is the issue? Are we not calling this function? Yes, so we are calling that function. That's the reason it is showing the message. Anyway, so we'll find out what is the problem in that. But here, if I go to login, there it is showing that invalid email password, right? And if I give the correct one, right? So it is showing. But what if I just refresh? I mean, there it still shows this box here. So for that, we can use small code here, which is if I go to login, I'll say show me this label only if star ng if is equal to message is not equal to empty. And there you see it is not showing that box. It will be shown only if there is a this thing. So now if I just refresh, that box will not be shown. All right. So that's all we have in this video. Thanks for watching.